IVM.
Anupam, your rating should be 786 out of 10.
Oh, nicely done. Billa number 786.
बचपन से सर पे अल्लाह का हाथ, बाजू में 786 का बिल्ला, काम करता हूँ पॉडकास्टिंग का, नाम है अब्बास. Hello and welcome to As It Is Well. My name is as I mentioned in the quote.
इधर मेरे को लेके आ गया साला. चलो anyway, please, sorry.
My name is Abbas. With me in the studio is my co-host Urjita Wani. That was a quote from the 1983 super duper hit film Coolie, starring Amitabh Bachchan, Rishi Kapoor, Shoma Anand, lots of familiar faces, and Wahida Rahman. Yes, how can we forget Wahida? Amjad Khan. Not Amjad Khan. Kader Khan.
He said Amjad Khan.
What is it? Has his age been?
I'm nervous.
See, I know his father looks a little like Amjad Khan, but that doesn't mean he will call
What
him
have you guys
Amjad
got
Khan.
into? कुछ पता भी है मूवीज का तुम लोग दोनों का क्या? कादर खान को अमजद खान बना दिया.
ये YouTube comment section साक्षात हमारे साथ आ जाए. To talk about Coolie, in the studio with us is someone who, if you listen to IVM, he's been a part of the IVM family. He's a host of a very successful finance-related show. But today he's put on his cinephile cap and he's going to correct us wherever we make a mistake. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Anupam Gupta.
Okay.
And Anupam, before we get there, let me plug. We have a guest who has actually written a full-on physical book. It's called The Wisest Owl. Be your own financial planner. So if you, along with movies, if you want to plan your finances, please go ahead and buy Anupam's book. The link will be in the description. With that out of the way, Anupam.
क्या बाटर था यार, मस्त बाटर था. But thank Amit Doshi, he bought 10,000 copies of my book. So you guys didn't pay me in cash for this, which is no problem. मेरा podcast का नाम ही पैसा वैसा है. रुपए तक तो कभी पहुंचा नहीं, पैसा पर ही अटका है. But thanks for having me here, यार. I love the movie, Coolie.
Yes, and I've been wanting to have you on for a long time because
Great to be here.
very often we catch each other in corridors and at smoke breaks here and there, and we always end up talking about movies. And I remember this one particular conversation we had once where the topic of 80s cinema came out.
Yeah.
And like, not to age shame you, Anupam, but you...
That's okay. I'll give you statistics, man.
He age shames me also, so it's
the other way around. So
He's 18 plus, na?
yeah. From that's what the
IBM has age का policy कुछ है. So we're good,
yes,
right?
Yes, we're good.
Jail will नहीं.
No, I don't think so.
I'll give you a statistic here. Half of India was born after 1995. So you can age shame me as much as you want, baby. I'm 51. I was a kid and a teen through the best era in the history of mankind, which is the 80s.
There you go. And you made this point that today's generation often looks at Bollywood and looks at the 80s era of Bollywood as crass cinema or cringe cinema or not a high point for Indian films. And you...
25th anniversary of Gunda and people are like going all over the... ठीक है, if you've got half the population that was born at that age demographic, they are going to idolize that, no problem at all. But do not ignore the 80s.
Why do you say that?
A lot of the... So, 80s was when... Just look at the transition that's happening there. Amitabh is 40. Okay, he's like finished one end of his career, embarking on the next. You got Sunny Deol and Jackie Shroff coming up. Okay, Jackie Shroff did Hero, 83. Sunny Deol did Betab, I think again 83, 84. You had the entire so-called art cinema movement happening out there.
Yeah.
In fact, Coolie features a poster of Umrao Jan also somewhere in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
That kind of cinema we've not seen that kind of stuff. You had Manmohan Desai, all of this stuff, you call it massy, you call it campy, you call it whatever, but there's so much of emotion out there. If it's the whole eye scene in Amar Akbar Anthony, the blood transfusion and all of that, it's just so much of it was emotional driven.
Okay.
90s kind of just went into a romantic phase, which might have its place, no doubt, but I just love it for that reason.
You also mentioned that today's Bollywood is trying to recreate a lot of that massy feel. Where we're trying to remake South Indian cinema, where you said 80s was essentially...
Massy.
It
was the age of a hero standing up and flinging, cars and taxis in the air and hammers and all that. What South cinema is doing exactly that.
Right.
Basically of a very simple structure. This is the good guy. This is the bad guy. Now let them fight. We'll have 5 songs. We'll cry, and the movie's over.
Yeah.
South cinema is essentially, there's a lot of physics also happening out there, but let's not go into that.
Yeah.
But that's what Amitabh was. Then you call him the angry young man. You place him in here, saying that he's the underdog, he's the victim, and just place a nice bad guy opposite him, whether it's Amjad Khan, Kader Khan, Amrish Puri, whoever. He'll battle all of them, he'll win, you'll go back home saying, boss, maja aa gaya.
Right.
Okay, that's South cinema.
You also mentioned that literally Chennai producers came to Bollywood to make
There was an
films.
entire phase. There was. I think there was Andha Kanun, there was Inqalab. There was this entire phase of the South producers coming to Bollywood and making some pretty nice movies out there. It didn't really last that long, but they had their experiment at that point of time. So this crossover that you're seeing now, whereas you have an athlete doing a Jawan and all that, we've done that in the 80s. Okay, it had its phase. Some movies were hits, some movies weren't. Jitendra did quite a few, for example.
Jitendra comes to mind when you talk about that. So does Sridevi.
Yeah.
All right, so clearly you're the best person to talk about Coolie because it's 1983. You are 51, you said.
So I was 11 when the movie was released.
Yes.
I remember seeing it in theatre very, very clearly. And,
Okay.
Thankfully, I come from a family where my parents ensured that we go to see pretty much every movie that's released every weekend.
Right.
And I try to do that as often now, even though popcorn prices outrage. Okay.
You remember where
But
you saw it?
Was that the same case even back then?
नहीं रे बाबा,
Popcorn prices नहीं?
किधर सिंगल स्क्रीन था रे गेटी गैलेक्सी जाने का अपने को 10 रुपए का टिकट 2 रुपए का समोसा देख के खत्म बात और क्या you would have some lizards there, some rides there, fan going on and all, but that was those were the theaters there for us. What's called the G7, thank God it's still there. You had Gaiety, Galaxy, Gemini.
Yeah.
There was New Talkies and then there was Bandra Talkies. So those were the cinemas that we used to watch most of our movies in. And there was also the old drive-in at Bandra East. I'm not sure whether I saw Coolie there, but I saw a couple of movies there with my parents at that point of time.
Okay.
But yeah, that place to see.
There is this lot of mythologizing of people throwing sikkas at screen when Amitabh would come, and there was a lot of this massy cheering and all. Do you remember that, or is that something that we've made more of a
I don't
memory
think so.
out of collective memory?
At least in Gaiety Galaxy for the Amitabh movies in the stalls, there was definitely, there was lots of fun and action happening.
Right.
Okay?
So this is another thing I have, not that I'm very old, but another thing I have difficulty in explaining people, the balcony crowd, the stall crowd, the dress circle crowd used to be different. And my Nani's house used to be in Baikala, so we used to go to Regal, Sterling, New Empire, Excelsior, where the elite South Bombay crowd used to come.
But I'm guessing that at that point of time you weren't smoking, right? Because that was the time when you could smoke in theaters. And Regal...
You could?
Of course you could. You had the entire purpose of stepping out of, the balcony or the dress circle or stalls or whatever was to have a smoke break. You could smoke.
You could not smoke in the auditorium.
No, not in the audio, obviously, but you could outside.
Outside, yes,
so that was a totally different phase.
But in those, I remember my mother telling me we go to these theaters because a good crowd comes there. And you would go to the other theaters because वहाँ city वाला crowd आएगा.
वो अभी भी होता है.
Right, but
and I have also done that क्योंकि वो city वाला crowd is a menace. I'm sorry.
Why? What are you saying? Boss, you should have.
नहीं, it's not the city is not the problem. The problem is वो जोर से बात करेंगे, कोई phone का आवाज आएगा. And I like to watch my movies. मेरा ऐसा है कि cheer करना है करो, पर जो scene आएगा तभी करो. So and plus वो मवाली लड़के वगैरह, that as a woman I feel I don't really like that.
I totally hear you. I mean, I was thrilled, when once the lockdown, I think after the lockdown was over, the first movie that I saw in theatre was Spider-Man.
Right.
The crowd just went mad at that scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was there.
When the original older Spider-Man show up. Yeah.
That was one. Then of course you had Jawan, it was another experience.
Yeah.
This is PVR.
Pathan.
Sorry, Pathan.
Pathan, yeah.
Jawan
is
will
yet
get
to
the same.
happen at the time of recording.
And there's a Pathan in some posh theatre in these PVRs, people are going mad.
Yeah.
And then of course I saw Dawn last year. That was, let me not go into that. That'll require one full episode.
Dawn 78 Dawn.
Dawn 78
Right.
Dawn.
We'll come to that. Urjita, I'm assuming this was the first time you saw Coolie for this episode.
Yes, this is the first time.
What is your experience?
अरे मुझे तो मज़ा आया यार. I was pleasantly surprised because कैसा है कि मैंने पुराने movies जितने भी देखे 80s के वगैरह, I always
pleasantly surprised. बोलने का धमाल मस्ती क्या पिक्चर का बॉस. What is pleasantly? 5-star कुछ है क्या?
No. So let Urjita complete and then I'll give
I'm
you.
sorry to, but I always.
So the thing is usually like अभी तक जितने भी मैंने movies देखे 80s के 60s के इतना I can see like अच्छा नहीं, they have not aged well and all. मुझे I maybe like them in bits and pieces, but I can't completely like deny the fact कि अरे नहीं
Totally
यार,
get you.
it's not. But this one I went in with zero expectations. I was thinking कि हाँ चलो होगा.
Had you not
कुछ.
heard anything about this film?
No, I had no idea Rishi Kapoor was there in the movie.
And you still liked it?
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised Rishi Kapoor को देखा तो.
That's the perspective that someone like me wouldn't get.
Right.
So someone who's seeing it for the first time goes in with zero expectations, didn't even know that Rishi Kapoor is there, still liked it. I think that's
Rishi
awesome.
Kapoor was there, but I actually wanted to ask you guys कि Rishi Kapoor है ये movie में, ये पता नहीं क्यों नहीं है लोगों को. I mean I don't know. He was not there on the poster also. Like I feel
was,
he should
but
have
he was
been
not the
there.
top billing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And,
he was not that big क्या तभी?
He was, but not as big as Amitabh Bachchan.
Okay.
And Amitabh and Rishi Kapoor had a slate of films together that were very, very successful.
So was it like Ranveer Singh and Vikrant Massey? Something I'm trying to like.
Anupam,
draw
how do you show?
parallel.
How do you draw?
No. Rishi Kapoor had a lot of blockbusters prior to that, if you look at it, but obviously not like Abbas and not in the same league as
Right.
Okay.
Amitabh. But again, the same logic could be drawn at Rati versus Shuma. Right.
Rati was a big deal, I'm assuming.
Rati was at that point of time a big deal. I've forgotten the debut movie. But Shomanand, of course, I don't know if you guys saw Hum Panch.
Of course, yeah.
I have seen
So
Hum
that's-
Panch, Shararat,
So there you
Hangama. I'm a big fan of her sense of humor.
Yeah.
She is
She's-
so funny.
She just, she was really good. Yeah. Sorry, go on. You were saying.
No, so I was saying that couple of the similar era films that we've covered on this show before, we've done Parinda, we've done Hum.
Parinda is not 83, na?
It's not 83, it's 88, but like 80s/early
5
90s.
साल में बहुत छलांग मार दिया था. Anyway, go on, sorry.
So we did Parinda, and all the panelists on that episode were, I won't say cold on the film, but we weren't as hyped up, because for us Satya is the ultimate gangster
God,
film, right?
please, yeah.
So in the comment section, everybody's doing the same thing. How can you say Parinda was not such a great film? And for me, it's like, because we've seen Satya, because for our memory, Satya is the cutthroat gangster film. Then we did Hum में मुझे तो बहुत पता है.
Mukul Anand trilogy. I mean, come on. Khuda Gawah, Hum,
And Agnipath, yeah. But again, Urjita and the other panelists were kind of cold on it.
To Khuda Gawah?
To
No,
Hum.
Hum.
So
Starcast on that, yeah.
Exactly.
So Starcast, like I understand. The thing is, for me, story is really important.
It's two movies in one movie.
I mean, see, I'll tell you what the problem is here. If I see a movie from the 80s or 60s and वो कॉन्सेप्ट के सिमिलर मिशमैश अगर बाद में मूवीज बने, सो ऑफ कोर्स मैंने वो मिशमैश पहले देखा है. सो फॉर मी व्हेन आई वॉच दैट मूवी, द ओरिजिनल मूवी जो है हीरो, वो देखे से मुझे लग रहा है कि अच्छा वो जो नॉवेल्टी थी वो अभी मुझे फील नहीं हो रही कि मैंने इसके वर्जन्स देख लिए. लाइक मे बी समबडी, लाइक टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, समबडी हु इज यंगर देन मी, अगर वो लोग अभी तमाशा देखेंगे नया अभी देखेंगे रणबीर कपूर वाली, they might not like it because उसके बाद जो existential crisis है, depression है, not following your career, उसके ऊपर 1000 movies बन चुके हैं. So for them it will not work that well.
It's the same dilemma I have with Dil Chahta Hai, where for me Dil Chahta Hai was a path-breaking film, but for today's generation it's like, okay, what's the big deal about it?
I think that's fair. I think if you look back on that movie with today's lens, you'll definitely have that point.
Yeah, but वैसे ही Coolie number 1 के I don't think इतने
You mean Coolie?
Coolie, sorry. Not Coolie number 1, I meant Coolie.
Mr. Abbas, well caught.
Coolie, for some reason, I went in with zero expectations and I really liked it because so much is happening.
Exactly.
At every given point. You have there is no point, rest का कोई time ही नहीं है. तुमको
चलो
पूरा
पहला,
attention
like I was very worried what Urjita will think of the film. I'm very relieved that you like the
See,
film.
of course, there are a few problematic scenes
Sure.
involving the woman.
I know that.
Yeah.
Involving the woman. Basically, just one where she's kidnapped.
Yeah, the kidnapped and the way he's slapping her bum
But
and all. And the fact...
आपका सामान.
Yeah. And then she falls in love with him. And she also goes on to justify कि मुझे आपका वही अंदाज अच्छा लगा. काय का अंदाज अच्छा लगा बे? Like, Rati, what are you doing, baby?
Yeah, that I understand. She's also a stone cold killer, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that I really liked. That I really liked.
Like the original Uma Thurman, so you could say.
You want to know an interesting story? My experience with Coolie. So when me and my sister were kids, we had gone to see Free Willy at Regal, I think, the dolphin movie. Over there, we saw Puneet Sir who'd come to see the film with his kids. So my father told me and my sister, you remember Duryodhan from the TV show? Like, yeah, देखो ये वही actor है. जा उनको और उनके बच्चों को popcorn offer करो. Okay, so we went politely like, sir, would you like to have up? He's like, no, I'm good. You kids can have it. And then when we came back, my father told me, तुमको पता है इसने एक बार अमिताभ को almost जान से मार दिया था. And me and my sister were like, screw Free Willy. You want to know that story now? So I remember the next day then, our dad had a video cassette of Coolie, and then he showed us Coolie. And Free Willy came out in 93, 94. I must have been 5-6 years old back then. My major takeaway after watching Coolie was, I want a pet eagle. Okay. Yeah. Keeping in theme of animal films. And Allah Rakha kind of is the MVP of this film, right? Like
he's bigger than Rishi Kapoor.
He's bigger than Rishi Kapoor. Yeah. He's the second lead of the film after Amitabh is that eagle.
Allah Rakha is essentially the Shakti Kapoor from Andaz Apna Apna, Aankhon ki Gotiyan.
I feel I should take major offense out here. As someone who thoroughly enjoyed the movie and believes that Allah Rakha should have at least gotten best supporting actor Oscar, to have him compared with Crime Master Gogon. I don't know about
I have questions about the award, the accolades this film got. We'll come to that. But let's come to the basic. I mean, how do I explain the premise of this film? There are so many threads. Please give it a shot.
Basically, one-liner premise. I have written it down.
You guys need to refer to your mobile phones. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to come.
Wow, Anupam, okay.
No problem.
How many episodes down? Paisa Vaisa?
430 or
we are on like 53, Anupam.
But your combined viewership must be more than mine. So let's not go down that road.
So even though the movie is named Coolie, but I feel like the movie is less about the problems of a coolie and more about the problems of a poor guy who happens to be a coolie.
Is this so? We are like that literal in this show, is it? Yeah. I'm very worried now. I didn't come prepared for this.
No, मुझे genuinely लगा अच्छा कूलियों के problems के बारे में कुछ होगा थोड़ा बहुत
है housing crisis के बारे में
housing crisis हाँ तो वही तो it could have happened with anyone no
okay. Housing crisis, there is working conditions, there is age limits. How can you have a one-armed old man lifting? How about that, huh? That those were the tough times of the 80s, so a lot of issues.
Manmohan Desai, we grew up listening to this name. He made masala Bollywood entertainers, and he did.
Masala, chalo, theek hai,
fine. How would you describe it?
Family tear-jerking emotion drama filled with coincidences.
Yeah.
Coincidences that are like, so heavy duty that you feel you all lost in the moment.
Yeah.
You will find some real life connection out there.
उसमें थोड़ा मसाला.
Oh, मसाला तो चाहिए नहीं तो फिर इमो कैसा आएगा?
Amar Akbar Anthony is famously.
Ice.
Yeah. So you were telling us that last year, or was it earlier this year, PVR did the 80th birthday celebration for Mr. Bachchan, and they screened some of his older films. Tell us how was it revisiting those films? Because I saw Amar Akbar Anthony and Millie.
You managed to see two of them in theatre?
Yeah, wow. And I also saw Chupke Chupke. But Chupke Chupke is a film I grew up watching, and I think that's more a Dharmendra film than it is a Amitabh film. Wouldn't you?
Anyway, that's a separate discussion.
But speaking of Chupke Chupke, editor of this film, Rishikesh Mukherjee.
Is it?
Rishikesh Mukherjee edited Coolie. And Rishikesh Mukherjee is known for making this very simple middle cinema, and he's edited this full-on masala tearjerker.
And that was in 83, huh?
83, yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it was madness. And I landed up on the day which was actually Amitabh's birthday.
Right.
And we had a crowd that was yelling and shouting happy birthday, and I think the opening scene for 5 minutes, everybody was hooting.
This is Amar Akbar Anthony.
No, this is Dawn.
Dawn, of course.
All the lines and all the scenes are in that movie. And the best part was PVR did this thing of no ads. So everybody just sitting there waiting कि हाँ smoking का आएगा, इसका आएगा, उसका आएगा, boom, वो film certificate, cut. Like okay, something's happening. And out of nowhere, then the whole car scene and people were just yelling. They just lost it. There were people, and at that point of time, Shabana Azmi and a lot of other guys who had gone to see these movies posted videos.
Right.
People were dancing. People were in my show for Dawn, for Kaike Pan Banaras. So people were in the aisles and they were dancing. of your age, by the way. Not मेरा बुड्ढा party gang नहीं, not my senior citizen crowd. तुम्हारा crowd was actually it was next level stuff, man. In what a personality. So yeah, that's your answer. It's a great experience.
I'm trying to find the one-line synopsis for Coolie, but I can't find it. So I'm gonna. When Iqbal gets separated from his mother and brother by a flood, he becomes a coolie at Mumbai railway station. He then fights for the coolies' rights and faces challenges from a businessman named Zafar. But this
spoiler है इसमें. spoiler है.
उसका spoiler है इसमें. Zafar तो starting से दिखा है बुरा आदमी है ना वो.
हाँ नहीं, but like I don't know अगर
Coolie can't have spoilers है.
I mean, it can, but I mean, actually, yeah. No, the audience is always in on the twists. The characters are not. You're right.
Anyway, go on, please.
No, that's the one-line synopsis, but this is literally scratching the surface of what the plot actually is. And I was thinking about it. So, not only are Amitabh and Rishi Kapoor brothers who are lost in childhood but then meet again. Even Rishi Kapoor and Shoma Anand, there's a one scene flashback that they were separated in their childhood and now they have to come back
there are
together.
layers and layers.
Layers and layers. And right from the beginning, right? I mean, speaking about a time gone by, the core of this film is the communal harmony, right?
Imagine that. Just imagine that. What a concept, huh? I haven't heard of that for like... Is this going on air? Is this, will I be cancelled?
No, you won't.
मेरा एक podcast है, लोग सुनना बंद कर देगा यार.
No, I mean, we are going to talk about scenes where Amitabh literally holds up a sickle and a hammer and says the worker's heart is made of iron.
So you have communism, hammer and sickle.
Yes.
And you've got communal harmony.
Yes.
And then you ask, has it aged well? क्या यार?
और Coolie all caps में लिखा है.
Coolie all caps में लिखा है.
Yeah.
We start with this Muslim family and a Maharashtrian couple and their child.
So Nidu Phule was a very well-renowned Marathi actor and he has done some amazing work in the Marathi and Hindi cinema. His prominent films are माझा पती करोडपती, Pinjra, Gadbad Ghotala. Please check out his work. He was also very funny. He played many comedic roles and he was a legend.
So he plays the one-armed old man like Anupam mentioned.
He didn't start with one arm.
Yeah. I mean, there is the arm cutting off thing. The flood happens and like that first Manmohan Singh moment where it happens where due to certain course of events, the child Amitabh is now orphaned and he comes back to the house and he says, Ya Allah, ab mera koi nahi bacha, and there's a gust of the wind and a Quran Sharif falls and he catches it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is literally, and then the Allah Rakha the eagle. I mean, that itself, right? That the bird seller, while dying, gives this last message to this eagle, and I'm like, this is before Harry Potter and Hogwarts and all of that.
The first 10 minutes of this movie pack so much of action. There is so much happening. There is so much happening. Kader Khan gets into a helicopter with Goga Kapoor. Allah Rakha attacks. Goga Kapoor takes one eye off.
Yes.
But still Kader Khan somehow manages to open a dam.
Yes.
And water flows out. Yes. I mean, that first 10 minutes I was like, I'm having difficulty in just processing what all is happening out there. There are like so many things. Yeah? Right. So Satyan Kapoor is, Vaida Rahman's husband, who then gets separated, goes into jail thanks to this incident of Kader Khan. And it's just, there's the kind of action and story building that happens in the 10 minutes was just next level.
Vaida Rahman playing Amitabh Bachchan's mother, has it aged well or not?
And she was 5 years older than him.
Yeah, so there are 3 actresses who've played wife and mother, right? There is, of course, Vaida Rahman, there's Rakhi, and I've forgotten the third one. I'm not sure who the third one is, but all 3 of them...
Tell us in the comments, huh?
Yeah, Sharmila Tagore. So there is Sharmila Tagore, Vaida Rahman and Rakhi, all 3 of whom have played mother and wife to Amitabh in different movies. Here is an example, of course, of him, of them being mother and son. But I think in that era, ये सब
चलता था.
Yeah.
नहीं अभी भी तो चलता है ना. I mean, Ranveer Singh's mom in Rocky Rani, she was like some 5 years older than him.
So you don't want to mention Gully Boy, is it?
What?
Gully Boy?
Who plays Ranveer's mom in Gully Boy?
Amrita Subhash. Yeah, Amrita.
Whose own mother is also there in the movie as Dadi?
Oh yeah, but I don't know Amrita Subhash ka age kya hai.
I don't think it'll be
must not be mother son difference of age.
I don't think Amrita Subhash and Arvind Singh would be that significantly, you know.
So 40 years have gone by, but some things never change. There you go. Kader Khan, of course, has written the dialogues of the film also.
This generation does not, you know, give him his due.
I think we only think of him as a comedic actor, whereas he was so much more than that.
Come on, don't say that, man. It pains me. His writing, his dialogues, his sheer presence. Right up till the 90s, I think is one of the last movies that he did was probably Angar with Jackie Shroff. I don't know which one, but my God, that guy, you know, some of his later movies, he's just... You're right about the comedy part,
right?
But that's the stuff you need to do to survive,
right?
And you know, the character actors of that era got a raw deal as compared to, you know, people now. Here you'll have a lot of people who work in 30, 40, 50 movies now in this era, and you'd still recognize them by name. Kader Khan is a legend. I mean, you look at Amjad Khan also. All these guys, there's just...
Amjad Khan, I think one of those... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying the range. I just realized something that Kader Khan, काफी similarities है in his character in this movie Coolie, and also the one where Govinda has a dhaba.
दूल्हे राजा.
तो वो मूवी में भी वो उसको उसका ढाबा हटवाना है क्योंकि उसको होटल का है. इस मूवी में भी उसको जमीन हड़पनी है. वेरी सिमिलर गोल, इवन दो इसमें उसको मतलब वहीदा रहमान भी चाहिए. But
he's out and out evil in this one.
Yeah, right, exactly. Out evil, and over here also, like, even though he's supposed to be the antagonist, but still he's lovable. Yeah. Like, how is it that he managed to do? Yeah, he is supposed to be lovable.
Zafar is lovable.
No, in
Dule Raja,
of course. Dule Raja. He's a bumbling saint, so yeah.
मैं तेरा झोपड़ा उड़ा देगा. Like, maybe same dialogue he'll say like in two different ways. And Dule Raja will say, मैं तेरा झोपड़ा उड़ा देगा. And मैं तेरा झोपड़ा तेरी खोपड़ दोनों उड़ा देगा. That I feel is great acting range.
I remember the Kader Khan, the one that I used to see in the 80s movies and all, when I used to watch this in theatre, and I was like, this is a villain you can't mess with. He's a person that you don't want to meet this guy in the street, you know, and be on the wrong side of him. He looked, and he had that, you know, that sense of evil around him. You don't want to mess around with.
Right.
Whereas other villains are probably maybe over the top, stuff like that.
Okay. Then we cut to, of course, Iqbal growing up as a coolie. He has that wonderful entry scene.
Oh my God, the entry scene is legendary, man. Before Chaya Chaya.
Yeah, walking on the train.
And the BD.
The BD,
yes. Without way any before, smoking is injurious. BD.
Way before smoking warnings. I wanted to get to this. So right from the get-go, right, the protagonist of this film and the ideology of this film is the working class man. Right? And right up to the climax is literally him pointing out what the rich have taken away from us and why we should bring it.
Classic, yeah.
We almost rarely see it now, right? Like, I was watching Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, and in that Ranbir Kapoor's character owns a Mercedes showroom, and that's an afterthought. Like, it's barely mentioned in one or two scenes, because you have to justify the fact that this guy's traveling and wearing expensive clothes and all of that. Where do you think, like, why is it that we don't do that anymore? As someone who hosts a show called Paisa Vaisa.
I think maybe post-liberalization, काफी लोग.
But even then, like Dule Raja you mentioned, right? Yeah. And even that episode we said कि it's literally the independent business versus billionaire.
India super guru of the entire planet. ये गरीबी क्या मेरे को पता नहीं. बनाने का है तो ऐसा झकास मूवी बनाओ. Mercedes है बंदे को. Europe, Spain जाता है. You see the way she eats, right? In Tu Jhooti Main Makkar. And by the way, I enjoyed the movie, but anyway.
Yeah, it was fun for what it was.
But I think that, and of course it's a Love Ranjan movie, so there's a separate universe. Okay, if you look at Sonu Kitty 2, okay, this is like Punjabis, can't show poor weddings and all that, so that's a different thing all together. But I think it just shows India then and India now. This is India of 1983. 84 we had like probably the roughest year that India has seen. You had the Bhopal gas disaster, you had the assassination of Indira Gandhi, a lot of things were happening. So 80s India was, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. this just reflected that. I mean, this is out and out communism, as blatant as putting a hammer and sickle in the poster with Amitabh holding it. You ask him to do that now, I don't think he's going to do it. Okay.
He won't even play the character.
Okay. And
with the name and the surname.
Okay. With an ending which I'm sure that we will go into in some time. So I think that was a different India, different era, and it kind of, they had that liberty, that kind of freedom to put that on screen and say, let's just go with it. Number 1 movie of the year.
Highest grossing film of the year.
Number 1 movie of the year was this one. Imagine that. And I think there was probably the same year where even Andha Kanun was out. I'm not sure about that, but you can check that out.
There's also this one scene where they are talking about politics and government, and there is this huge photo frame of Jawaharlal Nehru in the background.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, look at the themes out there. You've got the chit fund happening, right? You've got
Bob Chit Fund.
And Bob Chit Fund is located in a building which has a granite plaque saying this building is given by I think, Mysore University or something. I was like, something's off out here. You can't have a chit fund.
A large chunk of the film was shot in the south, in Bangalore and in other parts.
You could make that out in the starting of the...
Because I mean, the reasoning that I read was that Bombay railway stations were too crowded for them to shoot. So they chose Bangalore. And even in some songs, you can see Kannada written on buses and trucks and all of that.
You can just make out by the people who are around, because these are actual crowds. You see the kind of people whose luggage that he's carrying. You know, if you saw that in Bombay, the people around him would have been in a different zone altogether.
I love the title sequence, the billas going one by one.
Oh my God, the strike happening.
The strike happening and then the name comes up. Really, really great. Okay, we're barely like in the first 10 minutes of the film. We have to take a short break. When we come back, we have lots more to talk about with Anupam and Coolie. We'll see you on the other side of this break. If you're watching this on YouTube, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep up with everything that's going out. If you're listening to us on an audio platform, please rate and review us. We'll see you right after this. Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashton Doctor is in conversation with the multi-talented Manisha Kelkar. She's a race car driver, actress, and TEDx speaker. Their discussion centers around how to transform a hobby into an all-consuming passion leading to global recognition. On Pop Rap, Snehil and Antariksh are joined by Mohit Raina, the star of the brand new show The Freelancer, streaming on Hotstar. Mohit shares stories from his time working on the hit mythological show Mahadev to taking up an action-packed role in The Freelancer. Folks, if you like our shows, do spread the word. Tell your friends and don't forget to rate and review them wherever you're listening to them. Follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You'll also find all our shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: SBI Life, IDFC First Bank, and Save Life Foundation. Thank you for making this possible. And we're back on Has It Aged Well with Urjita and our guest Anupam Gupta. Anupam, this was 83. Like you mentioned, Amitabh's heyday was already past him, I would say. The 70s, the Diwar era, the Sholay era. So, is this like the last few hit movies of Amitabh?
I think before he went into the 90s, which was probably a dark phase even for him. I think this was where he started to. He was kind of, at 40, that 40 to 50 age, he would have given a few hits. But this was when the Jackie Shroffs and the Sunny Deols and Anil Kapoors were coming in. And the movies of that era, you could see. You had Rocky, you had Beta, both were very different movies. And the nature of the hero was also changing. So, yeah.
Even Mohammad Rafi had passed away by this time in 1980. So most of the songs are sung by Shabir Kumar, who was the Rafi clone that you had in the film. The songs pretty successful songs from
amazing songs, man, and they drop at just the right time. They just drop at the right time. So the fun songs, you don't expect them to come at all. But the Sari Duniya Ka Boj is somewhere, it's just there in your head. Do you think that that
Sari Duniya Ka Boj, I think it was a nice song. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of all the songs. Maybe because I don't have any memories attached to them.
Sure, yeah.
Log aate hain, log jate hain. It can't get more simple than that, na?
Lambu ji, Chintu ji, Tingu ji. My bad.
I like how Amitabh is calling him Tingu ji for a significant part of the movie, and Rishi Kapoor has no problem with it. Yeah, I can't imagine something like that happening now.
No
that won't happen.
No way. Long list of shaming that would be attached to that.
Yeah. No, as in even the actor would not be okay with it. मेरे को टिंगू कैसे बुलाया बे 5-7 हूँ मैं.
Oh yeah. That entire song, yeah.
Accident ho gaya,
Rabba
Rabba is also a song that used to be a staple on radio, but maybe not so much
Accident
anymore.
ho gaya, permanent ho gaya, and I've forgotten the rest of it.
I remember Shoma Anand's entry was so iconic because she's the only character in the movie who gets Pink Panther's intro.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is very similar to Pink. Out
and out drunk.
Yeah.
Out and out drunk.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with it. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's sort of for a lover, they were separated. At
Yeah.
how many separations at birth are we dealing with out here? I mean,
And by the end of the movie, I was like, मेरे को लग रहा है ये कादर खान भी किसी का बच्चा है, सेपरेट हुआ और वो विवेक ओबराय का पप्पा वो भी किसी का मुझे लग रहा है, सुरेश ओबराय.
विवेक ओबराय का पप्पा.
with the
Yeah.
glare,
खिड़की
with the
तो
By
glare.
the
खोलिए.
end, I was like, हाँ ये और ऋषि कपूर भी थोड़ा सिमिलर है, क्या पता न्यूड फुल भाई आपका भी कुछ रहेगा, I don't know.
There's a song Mubarak ho tumko Hajj ka mahina.
Oh, that setup, man.
Yes.
Just that setup was awesome. Like this
The
guy
ship.
is so set to go for
Hajj,
the
yeah.
Hajj. Just so set.
Yeah.
And then he's sick.
Yeah.
And then of all the people he gives his ticket to,
It's his father.
what a scene, man. What do you think about the song?
I think this movie is like the personified version of Match the Columns. Because
Yeah.
every
you know,
scene is somewhere connected.
It's Manmohan
with the
Desai, so
other
he's a king
scene.
of coincidences.
Yeah.
But the song is still huge in a lot
beautiful
of
song.
urus that happen in Dargahs. The song
Beautiful
still plays.
You just look at the lyrics and
yeah.
I think it's a beautiful song.
But you know what I really appreciated? I really appreciated the fact that Amitabh Bachchan, when he meets his father after so many years, he doesn't recognize him. I was like, अगर अभी तूने दिखा है ना पिताजी वगैरह कुछ बोल रहा है अब्बू जान, मैं इतना मारने वाली हूँ. It is not possible for him to recognize his
That
father.
also tells you how close the sons are to their mothers than they are to their fathers.
Oh,
because
yeah,
he would
another
instantly
thing.
recognize the mother.
So जब भी अमिताभ बच्चन बड़ा वगैरह होता है तभी वो constantly is crying about his mother. I'm like तेरा बाप भी तो गया बे तू उसकी बात कौन करेगा?
Come to think of it, yeah. No, but then
He's not like
माँ होती है उर्जिता.
he's least bothered about his father. He's like हाँ मतलब ठीक है.
Bollywood and Ma यार.
Yeah,
बाप
exactly.
always gets the short end of the stick. Come on. बाप को तो हमेशा वैसा भी.
I mean, even Kader Khan, Rishi Kapoor Sunny not knowing that he's not the blood son and he's the adopted son.
Then we're going to drop the whole, पैर पे वो जो निशान.
Of course,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
The sticker,
Come there
the
on
black sticker.
Sticker नहीं है, real है वो कुछ भी.
Yeah, tattoo है वो tattoo है ऐसा मत बोलो तुम.
yeah, of course.
What do you think was it a keyhole? Like ऐसे ही चिपका दिया बच्चे ने?
I thought it was a spade.
See,
So,
I think it's a
because-
keyhole, like one of those,
अच्छा.
वो छोटा बेबी है रे, उसको कितना
छोटा
हैरान करेगा वो लोग.
For some reason, if you're listening to this or watching this without having watched Coolie, what we're talking about is when Sunny, Rishi Kapoor's character, is a baby, he has a very peculiar birthmark on the sole of his foot. And years later, when aforementioned one-armed uncle
निरुफुड़े.
comes across Sunny, putting him into a cab because his kidneys have failed because he drinks too much. He sees the exact same mark and he's like, ये तो मेरा बेटा है.
Yeah.
And Iqbal just goes along with it. He's like, हाँ होगा,
And
क्यों नहीं
this
होगा?
conversation is happening outside a car जिसमें बिठा के इसको ट्रीटमेंट के लिए ले जाना होता है. उस सब में like अमिताभ is thinking कि भाई अभी मीटर का पैसा कितना होगा, हॉस्पिटल कितना दूर है. Like अरे ये मेरा बेटा है, क्या बात कर रहे हो? Okay then.
The setup was again amazing. The
Yeah.
guy is entire.
And Rishi Kapoor doesn't look Maharashtrian at all.
I'll agree with that one.
There's a bit of a controversy, or rather, he said, she said, about who directed the film. So the credit is Manmohan Desai. There's also Prayagraj,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, there are two of them.
who was a writer for a lot of Manmohan
I
Desai
haven't
films.
read about this. But
So the traditional, some places I read that Manmohan Singh got the credit. I mean, but most of the film was actually directed by Prayagraj.
Manmohan Desai.
But if Manmohan Desai, I'm sorry, did I say Manmohan Singh? I'm
That's the
sorry,
Prime Minister.
not the
No,
ex-prime
you said
minister.
Prayagraj.
Prayagraj is the name of the
city
co-writer.
director. Oh, I'm like, sorry.
But
Nicely done.
but if you go to the Prayagraj's IMDb page, he has a lot of writing credits, but the directing credits, apart from Coolie, there's not much
yeah.
big.
I haven't explored
films
this
in it.
area at all. I had no
Okay.
idea.
All right, let's get to the big thing that this film is known for, which is that
Major scene.
the major scene. During a fight scene, Punita sir punches Amitabh Bachchan, and Amitabh Bachchan was very seriously injured. I have only heard stories about this. Obviously, I wasn't around.
Oh, madness,
the entire nation came to a standstill. Story goes that Rajiv Gandhi was supposed to fly out for a foreign visit. He cancelled it just to visit Amitabh Bachchan.
I just remember as a child because the newspapers were just full of it each and every day. Each and every day used to have some update of the other. And the fact that they froze that scene itself tells you, like, you know, it's a big deal.
That this is the moment where Amitabh Bachchan was wounded, and
was
the message
gone.
comes in 3 languages: in English, Hindi, and in Urdu.
I missed that.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it is in 3 languages.
And
But then why was his stunt double not fighting with the guy?
Technical detail that I have no idea about.
So, I mean, from what I read, Amitabh Bachchan did his own stunts for this particular film. So did Rishi Kapoor.
Yeah.
And I am assuming stunt doubles or budgetary constraints may not have been.
Possible, yeah.
Also, I mean, if you see the climax, which is a lot of clinging onto a car and all of that stuff, you can see they have used body doubles.
But
in this one, for a hand-to-hand combat, I don't. Assuming they didn't use
just
many.
Just feel for Punita sir. That guy was reviled.
Yeah, so he went into hiding almost after this, and
all of that is probably true.
Yeah,
he was reviled, man. That guy was like, I'm glad he made it through, and that he got such a meaty role as Duryodhan and did a fantastic job at it. But wow, tough time, man.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it happened, but Amitabh came out of it, and the kind of jubilation and
the climax, the last speech is literally him thanking the audience in the theaters who've come to see him. कि आपकी दुआओं की वजह से मैं एक बार फिर से जिंदा हो गया.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. And I think Mangalam was there when we had done not a filmy game show, and Mangalam had a lot of other trivia about this. But what you're saying, about how he said that it is not doctors and medicines, it's all dua.
Yeah.
So
because the original ending was that Iqbal dies.
Is it?
Yeah. He dies.
They wanted to pull a Sholay. I know, like.
Sort of. Because he takes about 5 or 6 bullets to the climax. So the last scene, from what I understand, is him saying the kalma and passing away. But because of this particular incident, he was literally revived. Because Manmohan Desai said, now we cannot, after this, we cannot.
Okay, I didn't know
because also वो दरगाह की चादर लेके बोलता है कि अब तू मार के दिखा, तो उसमें अगर वो मर जाता
तो थोड़ा but 80 cinema ये सब चलता है.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I have always, I mean, it's a long standing argument that the reason we don't make great superhero cinemas because our heroes were superheroes, right? Getting hit by 5-6 bullets and still not dying, going ahead, is as superheroic as you can get
in real life.
Yeah. You want to talk about the comedy of the film? There are 2 very comedic scenes which I remember.
I want to ask her about the comedy of the scene. What do you think?
Which scene?
Sorry, the movie. We'll get to the scenes now.
Sure.
But what do you think about the general comedy of the movie?
So I really like that one scene where Amitabh is trying to make the omelette.
Of course,
yes.
that's
so of course I understand ये काफी मतलब nonsensical है, slapstick है, but I am a fan of slapstick comedy done right. तो उसमें भी वो दिखा रहा है कि वो पूरा मतलब controls उसके हाथ में है रति अग्निहोत्री के. She is like managing everything, and वो I love the root of that idea that you're mixing yoga instructions with omelette instructions, and somehow that is working out for him.
When we saw this for the first time, I think the theater was like, it was just way over everyone was like, just like, I don't know whether they were rolling in the aisles, as they say, but it was a huge scene. It just hit every spot. It was a very good scene.
That could have been a yoga ad also. Like a nice yoga ad that men may not know how to cook, but yoga, they sure can do.
The moment the chuza comes out of his kurta, I was like, I totally forgotten this. It is hilarious.
The egg and the chicken.
Yeah. What came
that
first?
That was their way of showing कि इसके अंदर इतनी warmth है.
माँ
नहीं हो तो क्या हुआ, ममता तो है, अभी भी है.
I remember like late at night, home TV and all these things used to just play a compilation of funny scenes. There is that Mahmood scene where he's narrating a scary story.
Classic Boot
there was that, and this used to be one of the compilation of scenes that used to play. I somehow feel like this scene has gone out of pop culture. It needs to come back.
It needs to come back. Definitely needs to come back.
And the other one is where Amitabh is playing a statue, which again makes absolutely no sense.
Oh my god,
I love how she bought that. Like, of course, yeah. And I think somewhere maybe like it's just me, but I feel like she knew that he was not a statue, and she was saying all those. And she was saying all those things just so that, he could talk to her.
There was also Mukri. Of course, Mukri had great comic timing.
Also, Mukri's wife
father.
is Shobha Khote, yes.
Yeah.
And they're playing very over-the-top Tamilian South Indian characters, but they're funny guys. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
And also, so there's one scene where Rishi Kapoor dresses up as a South Indian actor and
will not go down.
Yeah, but the lines he's saying are actually Tamil, because I'm watching it with a friend who lived in Chennai and he's like, he's actually saying Tamil lines.
Is it?
Yes.
And वो बोलता भी है कि अरे यार ये जो दूसरे कैरेक्टर्स है वो प्ले करने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं, पर ये साउथ इंडियन बनने के लिए लैंग्वेज क्यों सीखना पड़ रहा है. एंड वो पूरा जाप करने की, जैसे वो अमिताभ बच्चन रहता है इसका एनिमेट करने का वो चालू है. सॉरी आई डोंट नो तमिल, आई एम सॉरी, बट ऐसा वो कुछ तो बोल रहा है, उसका चालू है बैकग्राउंड में. देन अमिताभ बच्चन आता है, रति अग्नि शोमा आनंद को चेकआउट करता है. ओ या यू आर द गर्ल. एंड आई लव द डील दैट शोमा आनंद एंड ऋषि कपूर दे स्ट्राइक विद ईच अदर कि यू नो व्हाट, तू मुझे, मैं भाग जाऊंगी, तू मुझे उठा के वापस घर पे छोड़ देना, उससे हम दोनों को 5,000 मिलेंगे. बाय द वे लाइक इन्फ्लेशन एडजस्ट करके 5,000.
I was thinking about this. 5,000 is still a big amount. 50,000 ka flat is what I thought was a little unbelievable. 5,000 as a reward. Even today, if someone gave me a reward for 5,000, I'd be happy.
That time Bombay.
हाँ, but 50,000 का घर, चाहे जिसके लिए भी हो, चाहे कूली हो या अमीर हो, it's a little unbelievable.
Best cameo ever?
Yes, let's talk about it. So,
one and only.
Shoma's father, that is
Rati Agnihotri's father.
Rati Agnihotri's father,
No,
my
that is
bad.
Mukri, yeah.
He's played by Amrish Puri, who I had absolutely no
And he
memory.
Came out of nowhere.
Came out of
I was seeing the
nowhere.
movie. Tuck, there he is.
Just
like,
say-
wait, what is that? You know, like, wow.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have a line. He's either in a flashback. He dies within a few seconds.
He
Off-screen,
has a
yeah.
line, वो बात कर रहा है कि तुम
Yeah, but we don't hear the line.
It's off screen. Yeah, I mean, there's the whole. I think the whole
अच्छा, so
conversation.
he doesn't speak, yeah, because
He speaks,
thought-
but we don't
he
hear
speaks,
it
but
because
it's
there's a
not on
voiceover
there.
playing
Oh,
over
okay,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
I thought
He doesn't get to say "Bachchi."
शंकर, हम तुमको पाला हूँ शंकर.
We didn't speak about Rishi Kapoor. I think he's really great in this film.
Yeah.
Rishi Kapoor had
Very
this
cute, very charming.
bright presence from that
And
era.
comic timing.
Comic timing, yeah.
He's so good with his comic timing. You look at all of his previous movies. Also look at something like a Rafu Chakkar, which I think he spent a large part playing a
woman. And a film I often think how well it has aged
I haven't
in
seen
this
it, but I
era.
think I should go back and see it. I remember seeing it back in school, and I thought it was like a
Hilarious,
full-on
yes,
entertainer, like
absolutely.
out and out.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole train scene in that.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
a great song also there.
I think Asrani falls in love with Rishi's
Something like
co-actor.
that.
I forget his name. He's in a lot of movies. I can't recall his name right now. We'll check on that.
Yeah.
And there is a scene I remember in the climax where they've given up the whole thing. They come out that we were men all along, and Asrani is still interested in him. He's like,
What? Are you
yes,
serious?
yes.
Okay.
So
I think I'll go
yeah,
back and
that's
see it.
Rafu Chakkar will be very interesting
A
film
lot
to
of
revisit
happening out
one day.
there. A lot of stuff happening out
But
there.
in Rafu Chakkar, Rishi Kapoor made a very beautiful woman.
He made a
as
very beautiful movie.
I'm
like
sure.
very
I'm
attractive.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I love how Rishi Kapoor is, even though like he's supposed to be a bade baap ki aulad, he's not at all bigdi hui aulad.
Yeah.
And
And
the fact
he's a journalist.
he's a
He gave me
journalist.
a
Scoop,
Clark
yeah.
Kent feel, like the hat, the coat, everything.
Exactly, and also he's not classist.
Yeah.
And how do you
Yeah.
know that? Because he didn't mind being friends with a coolie.
Yeah.
That
And he
was
wants to bring
just-
his own father down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he moves
Yeah.
in with his new father when he finds
Very
out that.
peacefully.
Yeah. And वो
Kind
बोलता
of.
भी है कि पापा अब मैं आपका बोझ उठाऊंगा. And beautifully अरे पागल है कि तेरा पत्रकार है. Fuck that job कूली वाला, तू पत्रकारी कर. Let's move to a bigger flat. He doesn't say that, but that is implied.
Very Shehzada feel. I mean, that was also the premise in
I haven't
that.
seen Shahzada.
Or the original, Alawakantam.
I haven't seen that either.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
Both of
I
them.
remember reading your tweet that you liked Shahzada, the new one.
I said it wasn't that bad because I'd seen the original and Allu Arjun is, please, that guy is a different. Anyway, let's go back to Rishi Kapoor's comic timing. That's what you're talking about. The pairing is very interesting because I had, before seeing the movie, I had totally forgotten about Shobhanand. And then suddenly to see her, I thought that pairing was very, because she didn't have too many Hindi movies in that era.
Right.
And this was as big as it gets.
Yeah.
What's her deal in the film? Is she an assassin? Is she? Is she?
Rati is
What is she?
assassin. Yeah.
Shoma Anand.
Okay.
Shoma is a harmless, heartbroken.
Oh, she's Mukri's
separated
daughter.
At school. Yeah,
And
yeah.
also, I would like to give credit to her father for being so open-minded as to allow her to, like, have pictures of a 10-year-old
All over.
guy all over her room. ये कौन करता है भाई? तुम अभी बचपन में सबके प्यार होता है पर हम भूल जाते हैं ना यार. इतना थोड़ी ना.
आधा फोटो को हर डायमेंशन में, हर एंगल से सब ब्लो अप किया.
आधा फोटो का ऑब्सेशन ना जो बॉलीवुड का है. रॉकी रंधावा में भी सेम, रॉकी एंड रानी में भी सेम आधा फोटो. जस्ट हमारा तो पूरा, हमने फोटो फाड़े नहीं इसलिए हमको शायद ऐसा कोई मिला नहीं. हमने फोटो वैसे, मेरे बाप ने बचपन से मुझे बोला था बेटा फोटो कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए. They never allowed me to tear any.
या नोट फटता है या फोटो फटता है. I won't put the third one, but anyway, whatever. You can fill that with your imagination.
I really wish that Shoma Anand उनका कॉमिक टाइमिंग इतना अच्छा है. उनको अगर थोड़े और अगर फनी जोन में डायलॉग्स दिए रहते.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that. They should have, I feel.
I think Rati and Amitabh basically hogged. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Shoma Anand, after a point, they just forgot. अच्छा वो भी है मूवी में. फिर suddenly गाने के लिए they brought her back.
I think if it was someone like a Hema Malini, maybe they would have done that because
but
they
then you can't
carried
deal with that kind of egos out there.
Right,
That,
exactly,
this was a time of.
Yeah.
I mean, and Rishi Kapoor. I mean, the entire liver setup was so that to get him into, to meet his father, and then he's in the ICU. ICU में सब allowed है. That part I really like. ये intensive care unit. People are going out and coming off it like it's a cafe or something. लोग आ रहा है, जा रहा है. उसका liver transplant, kidney, sorry, not liver.
That is the
kidney,
only
yeah.
thing Maharashtrian about him. He drinks a lot.
Oh, I like how you dropped that in there. Love that.
As a Maharashtrian, I can say that. Nobody in my family drinks that much, but मुझे बाहर से पता चला था ये Maharashtrians के बारे में stereotype है that we drink a lot.
Also, so Amitabh gives his ticket away to his father, who he doesn't know, to
Satyan
go
Kapoor, yeah.
to go to the Hajj, and as soon as the ship leaves the port, Wahidah Rahman's health starts improving.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's not even reached the Hajj yet, and it's already showing effects. Then there's that wonderful scene where the lightning literally comes inside and moves around Wahidah Rahman to bring her back to life.
No?
Exactly.
And
yes.
they actually have scenes of the Hajj also, right? I mean, you've got actual footage from that era, which is out there in the movie also, which I thought was like really,
There's also an Akbar Allahabadi cameo where Rishi Kapoor dresses up as this old guy with a beard.
This part.
Yes.
I didn't notice this part.
Where he, jo bhes badal ke, they take the daughter back to
That was the first base.
and she calls him Akbar Allahabadi. So there's a little Easter egg Marvel cinematic universe.
I like how जब भी वो टिकट देता है अमिताभ and उसके बाद suddenly she starts getting better. Wahidah Rahman. In my head I was thinking कि अच्छा भगवान ने क्या बोला oh shit sir double दुआ मिल रही है हमें. We need to take action stat.
Manmohan Desai movies, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that shock thing on the head, my God,
Oh,
it's like
yes.
as a disco prop here. Like I could wear that and hit the dance floor straight away, and you wouldn't know that you're getting a shock therapy or having
So he's
a good...
giving her the shock to maintain that she doesn't get her memory back.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Okay.
it's
very
not,
interesting psychological
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah, and फिर कादर खान का वो डायलॉग एक्सचेंज विद द गाय, तुमने लास्ट टाइम मुझे शॉक कब दिया था? इसलिए 112 दिन पहले मैंने क्या कहा था रोज देना है. अभी ये क्या ब्रेकफास्ट है क्या अंडा है क्या रोज खाना होता है? संडे हो या मंडे रोज खाओ शॉक.
That guy is the famous Goga Kapoor. And one
Goga
must
Kapoor,
take his
yeah.
name with some
Yes.
respect because that is Goga Kapoor, one of the most
Goga Kapoor, yeah.
With an eye
famous
patch.
with an eye patch because Allah Rakha took one of his eyes
Yes.
out.
Speaking of Alaraka, I want to mention Danny Desai, who was Manmohan Desai's nephew, was 22 at the time, who had made created a mechanical falcon who was used for most of the flying scenes.
That's
and
an amazing
to
bit of
make
trivia. Wow, oh,
Alaraka
that's
do
cool.
the things that they wanted to do.
Yeah?
That was done by Danny
कॉलेज
Desai.
बंक कर करके जो भाई ने किल किया है
अरे,
किसको
एकदम।
याद होगी वो असाइनमेंट ना बट ये पिजन तो सबको याद रहेगा. इसको
Falcon,
कहते हैं
pigeon.
falcon
Yes.
yes
Pigeon is कबूतर जा जा जा.
yes falcon sorry
Pigeon नहीं बोलने का. Pigeons are flying rats.
Also,
Sorry for that.
that's okay.
that's true.
Amitabh's name in the film Iqbal, who has a pet falcon, Allama Iqbal, the poet, had this concept called Shaheen, which used to symbolize freedom in his poetry.
Wow.
Which the visual representation of that was an eagle or a falcon.
Nice.
So that is another secondary meaning that you can make from this. Anything else you want to add, guys, for Coolie from 1983, Urjita?
I love the themes. I think they will always stay relevant as long as, whether you believe or not in communism, the whole thing about rich, being evil and the poor being good is something that can't go away.
I was surprised by how much of a debate the climax was, because I was thinking, mardhad hogi end mein, these people, something will blow up, which obviously happens eventually.
Yeah.
But then most of the climax is literally just a debate from one dais to the other.
Yeah. No,
so the climax, right, where Amitabh Bachchan is giving this speech and he's talking about how all these rich people, वो उनके भले के लिए तुम सबकी जान दाव पे लगाते हैं, and 5 minutes into the conversation वो खुद वही चीज करता है. The moment he realizes there is a chance that his father, he could be reunited with his father, he's like, hey bros, sorry,
I'm out of here.
Gotta go.
I'm out of here. Yeah. मेरा politics का हो गया यहाँ पे.
Yeah, that was I think the implied message कि bros तुम कितने भी किसी भी किसको भी तुम गद्दी पे बैठा दो, वो राजा की तरह behave करने वाला है.
Anupam, since you host Paisa Vaisa, I got some numbers and figures that I would like to throw at you. So the film came out in 1983. It earned 9 crores for 1983. The domestic gross was 9 crores. And the worldwide gross was 11 crores, because I'm assuming Indian films didn't release as widely
a lot of money,
back then. You want to take a guess, adjusted for inflation, what the figure would be for the box
40
office?
40 years, 20 times, I guess.
My maths is very bad, so how much would that be?
Just multiply by 20, whatever number you
Okay,
have.
so I looked this up, and the domestic gross would have been 406 crores for Coolie.
That's 50 times.
Yes,
18
and
into 50 is 400.
And worldwide would be 497 crores. And I think this is also still modest. I think it would be more probably if it was properly adjusted for inflation.
लोगों के दिल जीते हैं, दिल तुम पैसों की क्या बात करते हो?
पैसों से क्या हो सकता है?
अरे वाह!
ऐसे तो पठान ने भी 1000 करोड़ कमाई थी, पर क्या लोगों को याद रहेगी आज से 40 साल बाद कि उसने रूबल्स और बूबल्स का जोक बनाया था? नहीं ना?
That will never go away.
Probably that's the only thing they will remember.
That will never go away.
I genuinely don't remember anything else about Pathan.
I keep on forgetting it, but somebody will always slip that in.
Yeah. That and just John Abraham. What's up, guys? अरे क्या WhatsApp बुला रहा है तू?
Lakshmikant Pyarelal did the music and Anand Bakshi does the lyrics. Allah Rakha had a theme. Like every time he would come on screen, there was a musical theme, which was then used in many other films, including a film called Allah Rakha, starring Jackie Shroff in 1986. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Jackie Shroff is the Falcon.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about this. So this film had 0 Filmfare Award nominations or wins. The film that dominated that year was surprisingly Ardh Satya, which also came out in 83. Govind Nailani. Best director Govind Nailani. Best film Ardh Satya. Best actor Naseeruddin Shah for Masoom. So this year...
My God, this was the year where Masoom came out.
Exactly.
Are you serious right now?
Also
Bollywood had that phase.
Also Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, Anupam.
वो तो ठीक है, वो तो अलग ही.
Best actress Shabana Azmi for Earth. So you can see there's very artsy
That's what I said.
award.
This was
award
an
ceremony.
Era of
critics having their way.
Just before Mahesh Bhatt came in, so you had Shyam Benegal, Govind Nailani, and this was the art house thing, right? Salim Langde pe mat ro, Albert Pinto ko gussa kyun aata hai. All of that were, of course, much smaller than something like an Ardh Satya or a Ardh. But
it was quite... Even the music doesn't get nominations, so I was very surprised about that. But
classes versus masses.
Yeah. Today, Filmfare again gives awards to literally the film that makes the most money. So cool, let's do the categories. So Anupam, Coolie from 1983, what according to you has aged the best from the film and what has aged the worst?
Yeah. The themes have just resonated from them. The poor still getting a raw deal. That has aged really well. The emo drama, separations, co-incidences, pair ke upar til. I mean, just look at Rocky Rani. I think Rocky Rani was a fabulous tribute to that era. There was not much romance in the movie, obviously. Very perfunctory, very... Iske liye tha. So I think those two things have aged really well for me. the whole, what do I call it? Communal harmony or whatever it is.
Unity in diversity.
I don't know whether we'll ever make, whether we can make those movies before without it getting cancelled or whatever. So I think that part has aged really well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, what has not aged is the length and stuff like that. But I just give it a very long
this film's still shorter than Nayak, by the way, which we covered.
Wow.
So for me, that's
But before we started rolling, you did say there is no such thing as a bad Bollywood film for you.
I still say that. For me, there'll never be a bad Bollywood movie. I mean, there can never be a bad.
Jism. Ragini MMS.
ये बदन को चाहिए.
बदन की प्यार.
1920.
सब चलेगा.
मस्ती.
Real life
क्या
is,
cool है.
The way I look at it, real life has become so pathetic now. 2-2.5 घंटे के लिए कोई मेरा दिमाग का दही करता है ना, no problem, कर ले रे बाबा, चल कर ले. I don't care. As long as it's, if it's even randomly entertaining, I'm even willing to forgive that Satya Prem ki katha. Which is why I say, there's no bad Bollywood movie. But yeah,
दिमाग का दही हो सकता है, bad नहीं हो सकता.
दिमाग का दही तो of course हो सकता है. I mean, but you're paying for it, you go for it. I think people are more aware now when they go in. So I don't know. Yeah.
Fair.
Urjita, for you, what says the best? What says the worst?
I think the fact that Amitabh is a Muslim and still वो surma नहीं लगा था. So that.
Does anyone put surma in the movie? Not even Kader Khan.
Surprisingly, no. Yeah.
Nobody. That has aged the best कि किसी ने surma नहीं लगा.
Do I get a stereotyping feel out here, like slightly?
That's what, because Bollywood
subverting
stereotypes. Yeah, Bollywood
do you put
stereotypes.
I don't.
You don't put surma? Why not? You should, यार.
I don't know. मुझे तो देख कर ही आंखों के पास लाके ही मेरी आंख बंद होने लगती है.
मेरे को कोई दे दे सुरमा, मैं अभी लगाऊंगा, बीड़ी भी पी लूंगा. Seriously, मेरे को कोई problem नहीं.
Yeah, and the fact that वो constantly भाईजान अम्मीजान नहीं कर रहा है, that.
Actually, yeah,
there is nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying कि Bollywood uses that as a stereotype. That is why वो थोड़ा.
Is there much opportunity for him to even say Abujan, Ammijan in the movie? There's hardly. The guy sees him at Hajj. He's all grown up, but he doesn't even know it's his father.
Yeah.
But I think when he was at Chintu, who was that? Master Ravi?
I have to check.
That guy is so familiar at that point of time. He uses it a lot in the movie. In that very 5 minutes that he's got in the starting. Sorry, go on.
He's saying Walid and all, so that is
Walid, Walda.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll speak about it when it comes to me. What says the worst?
What's aged the worst? I think the casual misogyny, casual sexism, the harassment.
Master Ravi.
Yeah.
Master Ravi.
Yes.
Wow. मैं harassment की बात कर रही हूँ, तुम बच्चे की बात करो. Master Ravi ने जो harass किया है. The harassment
getting casually kidnapped as if no big deal.
I mean, it wasn't.
And the harassment getting passed off as love, that has not aged well at all. Because see, the problem is that when you watch a movie like that, you always assume कि अच्छा harass भी Amitabh कर रहा है. नहीं, real life में Amitabh जैसे दिखने वाले लोग harass नहीं करते.
Am I getting some Kabir Singh feel? Sorry, I was the OG. Arjun Reddy, right?
Yeah, Arjun Reddy.
But yeah, that has aged the worst.
Sure.
Other than that, actually, I didn't really spot anything wrong. मतलब ऐसा nothing.
Medical science का थोड़ा fight है.
Medical science.
वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन
वो चलता है.
वो तो अभी भी होता है कि क्या तुम्हारे
lymphocytoma of the intestine.
ठीक है. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
For me, what says the best? Again, I would say the communal harmony and the core of the film.
I love that, man. I just love that.
Yeah. What's aged the worst, again, and you will say that in every episode, the CGI in the climax.
Dude, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
I thought you'll go with the color of blood.
Oh yeah.
How would you go with CGI?
I mean, sure.
CGI तो budget का बोल सकता है. I said, look at the color of the blood.
The color of blood. It
color
looks like Chinese bhel का चटनी.
Toxic, like a radioactive type.
दिख रहा है उसमें से अजीनोमोटो दिखाई दे रहा है. That yeah.
Come on, यार.
तभी actually red blood दिखाते थे ना, उन्होंने orange क्यों दिखाया?
I think it's the quality of the print we got on Z-Film.
Quality of the print and
maybe on screen it might look.
Yeah. Quality of the material they used.
That's not aged well. Medical science hasn't aged well out there. From color of blood to.
तुम रोज शॉक क्यों नहीं दे रहे इसको?
Oh, shock therapy. Blow to mental health. Very big blow to mental health. Wrong message.
I was going to say I was surprised the climax that was shot in Haji Ali and the literal kalma that Amitabh says while getting shot, and the end when they throw Kader Khan off one of the minarets. Because I was like, will they show a person being thrown off a religious place. Will they, won't they? I was like, maybe his goodness will come and he'll save him. But then no, they went all the way, and there's a very blatant dummy that they throw.
You could, yeah. But that you can make it out today in 2023. Yes. Back then you would have believed.
That's शैतान ना, तो शैतान को तो सजा
Actually, I was like, हाँ, बुरे आदमी को मारते हुए दिखाया, so I don't know.
So that's good only.
So that justifies it. Anupam, if you had to program a double feature with Coolie, which movie would you feature? Mard.
Of course.
बड़ी जल्दी बोल दिया.
Yeah, एकदम tip of the tongue.
मर्द को दर्द नहीं.
अच्छा वो डायलॉग इधर से आया from this.
Oh my god. Holy shit. Is this? You knew that. Help me out here. You knew that, right?
I knew that. Of course I knew that.
No, you fumbled. Okay, so wait, which character in the movie Mard says
Amitabh's
this
character.
Who else will say it yaar? Come on yaar, utna bhi.
When, at what point in the movie
What is the double feature you would do?
Yeah, your double feature. Chalo.
For you, double feature?
I think, oh man, Sholay.
Coolie and Sholay. Not bad. Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine, whatever.
For me, it would be Coolie and Amara Anthony. I think,
yeah, two actors the same, co-incidences, brothers, Manmohan Desai,
Also
same
the
kind of Easter egg of Akbar Allahabadi in it. Cool. Anything else you want to add?
Allahabad in itself is a double feature.
And the film is directed by Prayagraj. So yeah.
Whoa! What a awesome!
Alright, that brings us to the rating scale, Anupam. We have the Has It Aged Well rating scale from 1 to 10. 1 was, it hasn't aged well at all, and there's nothing from it that you got when you revisited it. And 10 being, every time you watch a film, you find something new. And I know we've already established that you don't think that's a bad Bollywood film.
My rating is 550,000. How can you not?
No, Anupam, your rating should be 786 out of 10.
Oh, nicely done. Dilla number 786.
वो फाइल करने एक तीसरी आंख आप पे लगा के गई ऐसा लग रहा है.
I think you walked away with that, my friend. I think you walked away with
Urjita,
that.
for you, on a scale of 1 to 10?
On the scale of Has It Aged Well?
Yeah.
I think 7.
7, okay. And rewatchability, I'm sure you'll watch it again.
Rewatchability, I think with friends and all, if I had to watch it, okay, maybe 8.
Okay, not bad. Okay. So as a film, 7, rewatchability 8.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say for me, Has It Aged Well scale 8 out of 10, rewatchability 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think this is like one of the very few times where you have rated a movie higher.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. What can I say?
It's a pain in the ass, is it? Any movies?
Yeah, you know how he rates movies. Oh my God, this movie is the love of my life, and I would like to give it a solid 6. That's how he rates.
Our standards are high.
Yeah,
what else?
Yeah.
You have high standards.
Yes.
You remind me of coffee snobs. Coffee
No,
snobs.
coffee मुझे चलेगा. Nescafe पिला दो मैं कुछ
मेरे को भी कुछ भी चलेगा, but coffee snobs when I meet them, I just feel that stick they have up their ass must hurt a lot. कितना दर्द होगा बेचारे को.
Alright, this is the alternate ending segment where we suggest an alternate ending to the film or we pitch a sequel to the film that we have just discussed. We discussed 1983's Coolie. Who wants to go first? Anupam, do you have an alternate ending or a sequel idea for the film?
Sequel idea that Amitabh becomes a politician. Full on politician.
Okay.
CM then PM. Okay. Eradicates poverty. And that's it.
Nayak, basically, you want to make Nayak with Amitabh.
But not for a day, like
forever.
For a day.
Poverty then.
Yeah. Okay, what else? And the rich get taxed at 550,000%, which was my rating for the movie also. So I think that's what my alternate ending would be.
Your sequel would be.
I'm kind of sequel would be a little bit worried about the roles for Rishi Kapoor, probably become Home Minister or something.
But then if Rishi Kapoor is still the journalist, would he expose Amitabh?
Amitabh is doing it the straight way. He just catches every rich person.
But then where's the conflict?
What conflict?
In the sequel.
The rich try to gang up against him.
Or does he go against another corrupt politician?
Adar Khan's son is there, no?
Do you have an alternate ending, Urjita?
Yes, please.
Alternate ending इसका I feel एक तो पहले बात तो मैं alternate ending दी but शो
Keep it short, huh? Nayak के alternate ending you went on for like 15 minutes.
पूरा 15 minutes?
More or less. Maitri was like, can I cut this? I was like, yes, you can.
Yeah, please. Iska alternate. Actually, you go first.
You know what? I mean, I would like to see the original ending, how they would have ended it, which was Amitabh dies. Because again, I was reading this up and they even recorded a sad song for the end credits, which was then never used.
Okay.
So that 786 that he writes with blood, apparently that was going to be the last frame. But actually
should have played out.
you can just pause the film at that point and that would be my alternate ending.
Wow.
I wonder, that wouldn't have flown well.
That wouldn't have flown well, that's
You
true.
can't have. You just look at all the movies that Amitabh's done, and I don't think even less than 1% of where he's died. Sholay is the obvious one, but then Sholay, I don't think he was the main draw. Dharmendra,
Isn't it in Millie where he has a terminal disease, I think, then and he passes away? No, Millie has the terminal disease.
Yeah.
That's true. My
I
bad.
think slightly, I don't think Amitabh died in too many of his movies.
Pa.
Hey, come on. This is a medical movie hai wo, don't go into medical movies. वैसा भी वो
Anything,
I
Urjita?
think
alternate endings.
Alternate ending. So even I was thinking that he becomes a politician and everything, but in my version, वो politician बन के उसका ऐसा हो जाता है कि he also ends up becoming the evil that he actually wanted to fight. And then slowly Rishi Kapoor also starts taking charge. फिर दोनों भाइयों में लड़ाई. But basically,
you want to give some room for the women characters to shape out what would they look like.
Of course. So Rati Agnihotri, I feel
some
she
assassin abilities.
Yeah. So I feel like she वो शादी करने ही वाले होते हैं. But then उसके टाइम पे बहुत सारे झगड़े होते हैं उनमें. And then वो भाग के चली जाती है रति. And then she becomes like गुंडों की रानी.
See, now that's what I'm talking
तो
about.
वो गुंडों की रानी बन जाती है. Now the thing is, Amitabh is fighting this evil that was once his love. And then we also show references
we got it.
Basically, now Amitabh can't eat an omelette without thinking about her.
She gets a free pass for shooting that guy. I don't think Kanun ke lambe haath ever reach her, right?
Yeah. There's also that Puneet Isar disguises as a police inspector and comes to Bob Chitfund. Before we wrap up, Anupam, so our episodes that we do about the 80s films usually don't get high number of hits. What do you think we should change so that people watch more?
Call Amitabh Bachchan only out here. We already had his granddaughter for a series, right?
That's true.
Who knows? Get him here.
Yeah. But then we also had like somebody comment on one of our episodes that guys तुम लोग क्या 90s और
2000s में अटके हुए हो थोड़ा और पुरानी फिल्में करो
हम जैसे बुजुर्ग को लेके आओ थोड़ा हमारा एज
which reminds me कि हमने कवर की है वो भी देखो check it out with Varun Nair.
The Hum episode and the Parinda episode, please watch all of that. Thank you so much Anupam for taking time out and being so generous with your time. Anything you want to plug, where can people find you? Of course, please listen to Paisa Vaisa. I need not say it, but anything else you want to plug, please go ahead.
Just my book, guys. My book. It's
called The Wisest Owl. It's out now.
It has enough material for you to get your financial plans right. And of course, listen to Paisa Vaisa. New episodes every Monday. Been happening for like 6 years plus, 400 plus, and we cover pretty much every aspect of personal finance. Thanks for letting me put this here.
My pleasure. Urjita, where can people find you?
You guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel @Urjitavani. I'll be releasing new stand-up soon. And you can also follow me on Instagram @Urjitavani. Thank you.
You didn't plug your social media handles.
क्या करेगा सोशल मीडिया हैंडल करके यार सब वैसे भी उसके पीछे आके कुछ गालियां वाली देगा छोड़ो.
You can follow me on social media. I'm @Abbas Momin on Twitter and AbbasMomin88 on Instagram. We'll be back next week with a new movie and a new panelist. Thank you so much for sticking around till the very end. We will see you all next week. Till then, bye-bye.
IVM